Magandang hapon mga kapuso. Today, pag-usapan natin ulit ang ekonomiya, in particular yung issue ng inflation. Although over time, i-discuss din natin yung ibang aspeto ng ating ekonomiya. At kasama po natin dito is good friend, si Tony
Richard
Lambino, Assistant Secretary sa Department of Finance. Very kind of you, sir, for joining us today. Of course, nung nakaraan na buwan, kausap ko si JC Punong Bayan ukol sa issue ng inflation at ekonomiya. At para sa akin, of course, to be fair, we have to also get the point of view ng administration mismo, no? So of course, mainit po ngayon yung topic ng inflation, yung pagtaas sa rate ng prices, no, mga presyo ng mabilihin. At of course, by tomorrow, ang expectations natin ay lalabas yung latest numbers sa ating inflation. May mga forecast na baka ito ay aakyat from 6.4% to 6.8%. We don't know, mukhang baka skeptical kayo, but many people are thinking na baka medyo aakyat pa rin yung ating inflation rate. So, unang-una siguro ang gusto natin pag-usapan dito kasama si Asec Lambino is, what is this inflation? Paano nakaka-calculate ito? Alam natin na every 6 years nag-iiba tayo ng yung base year, no? So, 2012 yata yung last year nag-iiba tayo ng base year. At ano sa tingin niyo yung mga factors na nag-contribute dito sa pagtaas ng inflation? And then, of course, is 6% really as horrible as some people are saying it? Of course, not to be insensitive kasi alam natin sa maraming ating mga kababayan, of course, single percentage point differences could be huge and itong 6.4% ay average man lang, so it could be higher in other areas. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world, no? Hindi ito hyperinflation. So kumpara sa mga ibang so-called emerging markets sa ating mga neighbors, sa mga ibang bansa na katulad natin ng fastly growing economy, is our inflation something too crazy, something we have to be worried about?
Salamat, Richard. Ang inflation ay isang bagay na parang ang daming opinion. There's also good information out there, pero marami ring misinformation. So, I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about it in a little more detail. Ang inflation rate na madalas nare-report ay ang headline inflation, which is a year-on-year comparison, as you know, di ba? So, it's last month, it was the inflation rate for August. August 2018 versus August 2017.
September na, October na tayo.
Hindi. Pero September is coming out tomorrow.
Of course. Yeah.
But the last inflation numbers that we have are from
August.
Yes. Ngayon, yung August to August comparison is really a typical basket of goods that a Filipino family buys. No?
Yeah.
So basket na yon, may laman na bigas, karne, isda. Sama na rin natin yung education and transport costs, no? Kasi it gives a fuller picture.
Gasolina, yung mga oil.
Oo, mga ganyan. Tapos, ang gagawin natin, titingnan natin, how did prices change between August 2017 and August 2018? Yung 6.4%, ibig sabihin nun, for every 100 pesos that you spent in August 2017, you add 6 pesos and 4 centavos, and 40 centavos. In August 2018. No? That's for every 100 pesos. So, ang kailangan talaga natin gawin ay intindihin saan galing yun, saan galing yung pagtaas ng presyo. Pangalawa, ano yung kailangan gawin para tulungan yung mga mahihirap na pamilya na sila yung pinaka naapektuhan ng pagtaas ng presyo. So una, saan galing yung pagtaas ng presyo? We have, explanations for the monthly release, yung top 10 contributors. Pero kung titingnan natin as commodity groups, yung pinakamataas na inflation ay galing sa food. It's really food inflation. Kumpara sa non-food inflation na mas mababa ang rate compared to the previous number. So yung food inflation, ano naman yung kasama doon? Bigas, karne, vegetables, at saka isda. Ano yung nagawa? On the day that the inflation numbers came out last month, nag-working session ang Economic Development Cluster. Pinag-usapan ng mabuti ano ba yung kailangan gawin agad, no? The immediate measures. At kasama po ang DA sa Economic Development Cluster. DTI was there also, nandyan si NEDA, BSP, at saka DBM. And some members of the National Food Authority, actually. Some of the members of the council. So, ang napag-usapan ganito...
Parang yung Department of Agriculture, no? kasama na rin sila sa economic managers,
Ever
no?
since.
Yes.
Ever since.
Yeah.
If you look at the EDC composition na nasa executive order, kasama talaga
Right.
ang DA. Ngayon, yung
Kasi
napag-usapan...
generally, ang impression ng economic managers, ito yung Department of Finance, Department of Budget Management, NEDA, at saka BSP.
Yan
no?
ang
Bangko
DBCC,
Right,
Development
yes.
Budget
Right,
Coordinating
right,
Committee.
right.
Pero ang mas malawak na pananaw sa ekonomiya na yung Economic Development Cluster
Sinama
ay
na yun.
kasama yun talaga. Ngayon, pinag-usapan anong gagawin. Sa isda, kailangan kasi dahil sa climate change at dahil sa ibang mga rules around fishing, ay talagang tight yung supply. Alam natin na this cannot be solved overnight. So, ang napag-usapan, yung DA, papayagan na mag-import ng isda direct to market. Kasi dati, ang ginagawa ay, ang imports ng isda ay para sa processing lamang. Pero ngayon, ang sabi ng DA, hanggang market na para dumami ang supply sa ating mga market. And as we know, pag marami ang supply, mas mababa ang presyo. Sa bigas, when the meeting happened almost a month ago, talagang kailangan ng gawa ng paraan ang bigas sa short term at saka sa medium to long term. Sa short term, ang napag-usapan, lahat ng available sacks of rice sa mga NFA warehouse, there were 4.6 million at the time. Kailangan nang i-release. Immediate
So may
release.
problema sa storage and distribution of that storage. Ano bang problema dito? Kasi ang impression namin sa labas is medyo may kakulangan po yung Department of Agriculture at saka yung Food Council natin pagdating sa management. So hindi siya kumbaga natural kumbaga lack of supply pero parang artificial or mismanaged lack of supply.
Confused. It's a confused situation.
Right.
Actually, sa Pilipinas, hindi kulang yung supply ng bigas. Ang nangyari, kulang ang buffer stock ng NFA. And early this year, there was a hearing na parang nasabi yata ng NFA representative na 2 araw na lang yung buffer stock nila. So, ang nangyari, because of that, the impression was
Nagpanic
kulang.
mode.
Nagtaasan ng presyo bigla. But actually, there was enough rice in the country. So, ang kailangan talagang gawin nung napag-usapan last month when the inflation numbers came out, mataas ang bigas, di ba? Sabi, i-release na lahat ng available stock. So that was 4.6 million sacks. September to October, may pumapasok na 7 million sacks ng imports for immediate release din yan into the market.
So what about yung epekto ng ompong dun sa Isabela, Cagayan region? Ito yung mga food baskets natin. Mukhang 500,000 hectares ang apektado overall, no?
We were expecting before Ompong 252 million sacks of rice from the harvest. Pero mukhang ngayon may naapektuhan nga.
Right.
Kailangan tingnan natin ano yung numbers. But still, according to news reports, even just this morning na minomonitor ko habang nasa traffic, ang sabi talagang meron ng effect. Bumaba ang presyo ng bigas in some areas, which is good news. Gusto natin mangyari yan, na dumami ang supply para bumaba ang presyo. Pero meron tayong medium-term solution to long-term, which is itarify na natin ang rice importation regime natin. Kasi ang problema ng rice natin,
so paki-explain natin,
structural.
what is this rice tarification law? Ano bang batas na ito?
Kasi, ang paraan ng pag-angkat natin ng bigas ay quota system.
So
quota
limitado
system,
lang pwedeng pumasok?
Yes, based on yung import license na ibinibigay ng NFA
Sa private sector? Private sector ito?
Correct. Whether it's NFA that imports or private sector, NFA controls the amount of imports. Ang nangyayari dyan...
Paano ba nakaka-calculate tong quota na to? Of course, may concern din yung epekto sa domestic producers kasi may sarili tayong mga magsasaka. So siguro yung quota na yan ay adjusted doon sa production domestically at to ensure na hindi rin sila negatively affected, no?
Dapat calibrated yan na yung domestic producers ay makabenta pag meron silang stock, tapos during the lean months, papasok yung imports. Ganun dapat yung system.
So complementary dapat.
Oo,
Yes.
kaso hindi ganun yung nangyayari. In fact, na-late yung pag-order ng imports ng NFA, tapos
Dahil may misforecasting?
there was a problem. Yung letter of inquiry ng DOF sa NFA asked bakit ginamit yung available funding to pay down the loans of NFA instead of buying from the local producers. Hindi ko alam kung nasagot na yung letter na yun, pero that went
Kasi
out
si
a
Pangulo,
few weeks ago.
galit din si Pangulo Duterte yata dito sa medyo
Oo.
mismanagement na nangyari.
Gusto
no?
niya talaga na
Yeah.
mababa ang presyo ng bigas
Right.
kasi it's 20% of the budget of a poor family.
right.
So ngayon, ang kailangan natin gawin ganito.
tarification law.
Palitan natin yung
Quota.
pamamaraan ng pag-angkat.
Right.
Wala ng quota.
Right.
Ang gagawin ng rice tarification law, kung mapasa na siya, no, ay papalitan natin from a quota to a tariff. What does that mean? Anybody
Can import.
as long as they're willing to pay the import tax. Yun yung tariff.
Right.
At yung tariff na yun ay gagamitin natin para suportahan yung ating mga local producers, our farmers. It's it's a total earmark. That's the idea.
Right.
Any tariff that is collected, all of it will be used para suportahan yung mga
So parang
magsasaka.
mitigation fund siya, no?
Mitigation fund and to enhance productivity. So ang gagawin ng fund
So
na yun,
limited window dapat to, no? I mean, hindi ka pwede mag-all-out import all year long for years to come. Di masisira yung domestic production mo.
hindi naman talaga magiging lahat imports.
Right.
In fact, the Philippines imports around 10%.
Right.
Diba? Ang under tarification, maaring maging 20%.
Right.
Pero mataas pa rin yung porsyento na locally produced.
This is for good or this is for specific period of time?
We're seeing, at least from the models that I looked at, no, yung mga computations, ay babagsak yan mga 20% imports. Yun yung mga nakita kong
And
estimates.
until when ba to?
Ganun yung magiging equilibrium. Unless there's a massive change in prices globally and locally. No? Pero, given the assumptions that we have, hindi naman siya magiging majority imports. We will still produce majority of our requirement dito po sa ating bansa. Ngayon, ang mangyayari kasi, yung tariff nga, i-earmark natin for the farmers. Ang pupuntahan ng pondo na yan ay iba-ibang bagay, no? Mechanization, para mas maging efficient yung
Mga
production.
tractor, mga ganun,
Correct.
yeah.
Mga harvesters,
Right.
mga seed planters, things that will help manage irrigation better, drying equipment, storage equipment. No? So mechanization and storage, post-harvest facilities,
Financing?
access to finance for
Right.
farmers, for inputs.
Fertilizers, mga
Correct,
ganun yan.
correct. Tapos seeds, better seeds. Kasi nasa 4 tons per hectare tayo on average. Ang gusto talaga nating gawin ay umakyat yun to 6 tons per hectare para mas maging competitive ang ating mga magsasaka sa global market. Ngayon, ang maganda dyan, bababa ang presyo ng bigas sa lahat ng merkado.
So good for consumers.
Good
At
for
hopefully
consumers.
inflation will go down.
Inflation will go
Kasi
down.
0.4% yata, I'm sorry, like 40% ng ating inflation uptick ay, I think, food ang cost nun? Or actually more?
It's around 2.4% from the 4 commodities I talked about earlier. 2.4 percentage points.
Right, out of the
6.4.
6%. Exactly, so it's around 40%, right?
Pero ang maganda rin dyan ay the BSP estimate that we heard recently, and it's an estimate, no? Pwedeng
Right.
magbago yan depending on
Right,
conditions,
right.
is that 2019 inflation can be lower by 0.7 percentage points if we tarify rice this year.
And anong expectation natin by the end of this year? Ano yung average inflation na tinitignan natin? 6% probably?
Don't quote me on this, although we're on camera.
We're on live.
It's around
No,
5 point something yata yung bagong estimate.
Yes, kasi
it was
yun-
4.8 last month
Right.
for the year. Pero
Right.
parang nag-adjust upward
Yeah.
na.
So, below 6%, pwede natin i-keep yan.
Yes, I'm pretty sure the estimate I
Right.
saw from BSP is below 6%.
So in short, meron tayong mitigation measures on the part of the government para, isolve tong problema ng yung food availability natin.
Yes, in fact yun, yung fish kanina sabi ko,
Right.
import straight to market. Pangalawa, pagdating sa karne at saka sa gulay at iba pang mga produkto, DA and DTI have joined forces.
Right.
Tapos meron silang mga parang mobile markets, bringing those markets to where they're needed the most, no? Mga
Right.
low-income communities,
Right.
para makapagbenta yung mga producers directly.
Right.
Just one example of why that's important. No? May problema tayo sa pork supply kasi there was a swine flu outbreak. So talaga mataas ang presyo ng pork, elevated. What's the substitute? One of the substitutes is chicken. Ang problema sa chicken naman, ang farm gate price natin ay mga 85 pesos according to DTI. Pagdating sa retail, nasa mga 140, 150 pesos per kilo. So ang layo ng farm gate sa retail. Ang gustong gawin ng DTI at saka DA through these mobile markets ay yung mga tienda, no? Ay mas malapit doon sa farm gate price ang mararanasan ng ating consumers.
Right.
That's why producers with cold storage and all of that, no, provided to them, will be able to sell closer to farm gate sa mga special markets na ito. So, yan yung ilan sa mga ginagawa. No? Pero again, for rice, talagang kailangan short-term and immediate yung pag-release ng supply na meron na. At the same time, we need to tarify rice so that medium to long term, we solve this problem. Ang good news ay nasa advanced stage na siya sa legislative process. Pasado na yung version ng lower house.
At of course, ekonomista yung ating Speaker of the House ngayon, si Madam former President Arroyo. So I'm sure naiintindihan niya yung kailangan ng measures na gagawin dito.
She understands these things very well. In fact, dumaan rin sila during the Arroyo administration dun sa mataas na inflation.
Right.
Talagang supply ang ginawa nilang solusyon. Supply ng food products, key food
So supply-side
commodities.
intervention.
Correct. Kasi ang demand-side intervention, yun yung mga monetary tools ng
course.
BSP. But they take time to kick in. And if the problem is tight supply, demand-side interventions will not really work. No?
yeah.
Except in anchoring expectations. No? That's important also.
Kasi nakita natin sa Bangko Sentral for the fourth time nagkaroon ng interest rate adjustment this year, no? At saka 500 points basis adjustment ang ginawa nila 50 basis
Yes.
points adjustment ang ginawa nila lately, which is I think highest in the last 10 years, no?
Nag-50 rin yata sila last time. So
Right.
twice na.
So this is twice na highest in the last 10 years ang ginawang 50 basis points kasi 25 so
Which is signaling to the
Right,
markets that they are solid behind countering inflationary expectations.
So may both supply side and demand side intervention tayo.
Yes.
So from both sides ang approach ng ating administration. What
Well,
about
the BSP is independent.
Right.
They make their
Right.
decisions on
Right.
their own. But on the supply side, the economic development cluster is of one voice. And
and then nag-coordinate naman kayo, di ba? I mean, there's a coordination between the two sides.
we
Even if BSP is independent institutionally.
there is of course sharing of information that is shareable. And alam naman nila kung ano yung ginagawa on the supply side. At we, of course, monitor very closely what the BSP decides to do through the monetary board.
Ano naman yung contribution ng oil prices? Kasi ngayon, of course, actually na-appreciate ko yung explanation mo na yan kasi most other independent economies ay mag-agree sa'yo na talagang yung food prices, yung supply sa food ay isang factor na umakyat ang presyo, ang inflation overall. At of course, medyo mas masisisi mo siguro yung mga Department of Agriculture and yung Food Council natin kaysa siguro yung mga ibang economic management departments. But at the same time, yung initial explanation na nakikita natin galing sa administrations or supporters of the administration is hindi mukhang na-anticipate yung rise in the oil prices, global oil prices. Kaya medyo lumala ito. Kasi wag natin kalimutan, ang target natin for the past many years is between 2 to 4%. So way beyond target na tayo in terms of ating inflation rate. Is there a basis to that? Do you guys still maintain na yung oil prices, global oil prices ay big contributor to? Kasi umakyat din yung presyo ngayon ng gasolina ulit, no? How bad is the problem? Kasi ito ay external shock din na
Yes.
hindi natin makontrol, no?
Yes. It is a big contributor.
Right.
So, didikit ko na kasi I know your next question will be about the excise from
Right.
train, diba?
Right.
So, there are two drivers.
Can we put the graph on the oil prices? Yung global oil prices. Yeah.
So, there are two drivers of the increase in oil.
Right.
Increase
in
in
inflation.
the
Inflation.
petroleum
Yeah.
prices at the pump.
Right,
No?
right.
So, there's the global oil price, and then there's the new excise, the additional excise for gasoline, and the new
Right.
excise for diesel no, from chain.
So parang medyo sumabay siya dito, no?
Correct.
So ito yung beginning of the year natin. So makita natin umakyat talaga yung oil prices. So sumabay yung excise tax at saka yung increase ng oil
Correct.
prices.
Here's the
So
difference,
medyo
though.
nag-exacerbate,
Ito
no?
yung difference. Yung excise from chain is fixed per liter. Ang import price ay volatile.
Volatile.
Oo.
Kasi
So,
hindi natin makontrol yung market. The
we're not an
regulated
oil
siya.
producer.
Right. Hindi sila-
So we take the price that the global market gives us. So the excise is around 20% of what consumers experience at the pump. 20 to 30%. 70 to 80% is
It's
from
this one. What about oil subsidies? Kasi pag makita natin across the region, I mean, I'll just try to be fair, these oil prices will affect everyone, right? Kasi with the exception siguro ng Brunei or Malaysia, almost everyone, including Indonesia, kasi limitado pa rin production compared to consumption,
yes.
everyone's going to be affected.
Yes.
Pero can we look at this inflation king daw tayo, according to Bloomberg. So if you look at the Bloomberg, it says that the Philippines is actually we have the highest inflation rate in the region. So this is not only Southeast Asia, it's actually compared to other major developing countries. So of course, clearly hindi lang Filipinas ang nag-import. China is a big importer, Vietnam is the biggest importer, Singapore is a big importer. But if you look at it, the inflation of this country is not as bad, right? So you can say on one hand, siguro yung food situation nila is not as badly managed. But in terms of oil prices, mukhang hindi rin masyadong negative effect. Like Singapore has only a 0.6% inflation rate. So how fair do you think that explanation is? How come these countries have a lower inflation?
Well,
Shouldn't we have oil subsidy maybe?
First is we produce less oil than the others. Now, their percentage
Comparatively.
production is higher. That's one. Second, we do have a subsidy. It's called Pantawid Pasada, and it's in the train law. So it was part of the design of the train law to mitigate the higher prices coming from the excise.
Do we have
plus the
numbers?
VAT
Ano tong
on
Pantawid
excise.
Pasada?
The Pantawid
Magkano?
Pasada is for 179,000 plus public utility jeeps which have legitimate franchises. So colorum are not included, but those that have legitimate franchises are included. In fact, and I'm happy that we're here because we
Correct.
can promote this.
Yes,
there
please.
there were 140,000 cards produced ready for pickup by the legitimate franchise holder. I think around 40,000 have been claimed.
Right.
So we would like to call out to those 100,000 more legitimate franchise holders to please find out from the website of LTFRB kung saan po ninyo pwedeng kunin yung Pantawid Pasada ninyo. It's 5,000 pesos for the second half of 2018, pero next year it will be a lot more.
So, aakyat pa yan from
Oo,
5,000
oo.
over 6 months.
Mas malaki yung
Yeah.
budget for
Right,
next
right.
year. Kaya po, sana kunin na po ninyo para matulungan yung mga driver.
Right.
Kasi kwan po yan eh. It's for fuel purchases only, 5,000 pesos na makakatulong sa...
Kahit saan sila pwede bumili or may mga specific gas stations
Yung
na pwede
mga
sila
gas station na may POS na nakalagay Pantawid Pasada available here. And padami ng padami yan. All the major...
all across the country,
all
hindi lang
across.
sa Metro Manila.
Yes, yes.
So may mga 100,000 pa na pwede i-claim. At
I-claim
hindi
na
pa
po,
rin na-claim.
please claim them because we really want this program to be helpful to the drivers. Kasi ang driver ang nagpapa-load
Right. So
ng
kulang
diesel.
sa educational campaign.
This is part of it.
information
This is
campaign.
part of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oo. Thank you,
hindi,
Richard.
hindi ko rin alam yan. So there's 100,000 na
More.
pwede claim.
There
Yeah,
are
wow.
40,000 that have been
Right,
claimed.
right.
But we want more of them to
At
be
para sana hindi rin nila
benefited by the
iakyat
program.
yung of course yung fare,
Yung fare.
for the consumers, di ba?
Correct.
So kung meron silang ito, kung maki-claim nila ito, hindi rin ma-pressure yung mga
And it will be
drivers.
bigger next year. So kunin nyo na kasi mare-reload yan for next year. Oo.
So
Tapos
kung hindi nila i-claim this year, mawawala siya. I mean, how is that? Hindi
I
mo
don't siguro naman pwede pang i-claim pero kunin nyo na kasi nandyan na eh.
Oh, sayang,
Available na siya. There are 40,000 more that are being produced. Pero 140 na yung available. So sana makuha po ninyo. The other mitigating measure that was part of the design of the train law,
along with the excise tax, of course.
yes,
Yeah.
alongside the Pantawid Pasada, is the unconditional cash transfer program. And that is again designed for the inflationary pressure that comes from train,
Right.
which was around 0.4 to 0.7 percentage
So ano
points.
tong unconditional? Kasi ang alam natin yung conditional cash transfer kung saan nagbibigay ng tulong ng gobyerno doon sa mga pamilya para sa kanilang edukasyon, for health, among other things. Pero itong unconditional is bibigay sa inyo para lang makapag-cope kayo with new...
Makatulong lang dun sa pagtaas ng mga presyo.
Presyo,
And we were very clear from the very beginning that train would have a contribution to inflationary pressures.
So
Kasi
how much tong unconditional cash
ito
transfer na
is,
pinag-discuss natin?
again,
And how do you distribute that?
yeah, it's through DSWD and Land Bank, and next through the conduits of Land Bank and DSWD. For the far-flung areas na walang land bank branches, mga rural banks and the like.
So sino mga nata-target ito?
So 10 million recipients, around 3 million senior pensioners, yung mga senior citizen na walang SSS o walang GSIS. Mga 3 million po yan na nasa listahan ng DSWD. Tapos meron tayong 7 million nakasama sa 4-piece program, 4.4 million. Tapos meron tayong 2.6 million na kasama dun sa poorest 7 million households.
Right.
Yan po ay 200 pesos a month. So 2,400 for the year.
Right.
At lump sum na po ibibigay for the year. Tapos next year, it's 300 pesos a month or 3,600 pesos for the year. Kwan ho yan, 3-year program. So 200 this year, 300 a month next year, and then 300 a month again in 2020. Yan po ay talagang nakadisenyo para makatulong. But there's a little bit of a misunderstanding of the program. It was not designed to yung para dun sa Dubai crude, no? Increases, yung ating increase ng import price of oil. It was not designed to cover yung pagtaas ng presyo dahil sa exchange rate kasi tumaas din yung ating
Right.
import price dahil dyan and from other factors.
Parang medyo namalas din tayo kasi sumabay din yung medyo pagbaksak ng Philippine pesos, no? I mean, we're lowest in 12 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that.
Something like that, no? So mas mahal lalo mag-import. So hindi lang
Correct.
umakyat yung presyo ng oil, yung currency din natin humina, kaya naging mas mahal din yung pag-import ng anything, no? Food or oil, among other things. So what is the reason? Bakit humihina yung Philippine peso? Kasi yung isang reason na narinig namin is dahil among other things, meron tayong mga build project, nag-import tayo ng maraming intermediary goods, di ba? Kasi syempre kailangan mo ng steel, cement, yung mga machinery, no? Para makapag-build ka ng infrastructure. So of course, ito ay kailangan mo gumastos ng dolyares mo at kung humina yung reserve ng dolyares mo, medyo hihina din yung currency mo. Is this a
That
valid
is a
explanation, right?
And we've been we have been discussing that over the past few months when the DBCC started presenting to Congress even na-present din yung factor na yan. What does that really mean for all of us? It means kasi kung titingnan mo yung capital goods importation natin, you're right. Mga infrastructure, materials, machinery, etc. It means we are upgrading our engine, our economic engine. Ibig sabihin yan, kung galing po tayo sa 1.3-liter engine na hirap umakyat sa Baguio, sabihin natin.
2.0
Ngayon, magiging 2.0 na tayo or 3-liter engine. No? So
SUV,
which means wag naman guzzler, no? pero efficient pa rin. Na it means we can grow at a higher rate. We are increasing our capacity to grow para ang ating paglago ng ekonomiya ay mas mabilis basta ay walang maiwan. Gusto rin natin inclusive yung growth na yun.
Tsaka kung mahina yung infrastructure mo, inflationary din siya in the sense na kung traffic parate, mahal mag-transport ng mga commodities,
Correct.
di ba?
Hindi po natin maayos
exactly.
yan.
So over time, that actually could contribute to overheating. Ano tong overheating? Kasi narinig natin from the World Bank na yung Philippine economy ay nag-overheat. Narinig
Hindi pa.
natin usually yan about China when they grow 10 to 12% and then inflation natin nila nag-hit ng 8%. Pero I'm not sure about the Philippines kasi ang growth rate natin below 7%. Isn't it too early for them to say na nag-overheat tayo?
Kung hindi natin in-upgrade yung engine natin,
Mag-overheat.
maaari, no? Kung mataas yung growth rate. Pero, capital accumulation nga di ba? Capital, what do you call this? Capital goods, yung ating ini-import. So,
Para mag-build ng infrastruktura.
para mag-build ng infrastructure, para bumaba ang presyo ng logistics, getting goods from province to province, increasing our capacity to be productive. Yung Mega Manila Subway, pag ma-build na yan, ay imagine yung...
This month na siya mag-start?
Ang alam ko, they're already doing initial work.
Right.
Pero
alam ko
later
October
this year.
dapat
October, November.
Yun ang alam ko kay Secretary Joke no?
Yes. Pero ang mahalaga dyan ay yung productive capacity ng ating mga mamamayan ay tataas. Hindi na sila 6 na oras sa traffic, 3 oras papunta sa office, 3 oras pa uwi. Not to mention the cost to families. Gusto rin natin ng ating mga kababayan ay makapag-spend ng quality time kasama ng kanilang mga pamilya, ng kanilang mga anak. Alam nila kung ano nangyayari sa school ng kanilang mga anak.
So yung quality of life, of course,
Quality of
improve.
life.
So in a way, masasabi mo na ito ay short-term sacrifice on the part of our country kasi syempre medyo humihina yung currency natin habang nag-import tayo ng mga intermediate goods, capital goods to build our infrastructure. But 5-10 years down the road, magiging more productive yung economy natin.
At the same time, we have to look at it in terms of importers versus exporters. Our exporters will benefit from from that kind of movement in the exchange rate. Our importers, mas mahal yung kanilang mga binibili. So we have to look at it carefully also in that sense. Tapos, it's toward the end of the year, alam naman natin na ang remittances tumataas toward the holiday season. Kaya mas maraming makukuha from the remittances na coming in. So we have to look at it also
So
in
expectation
terms of those
natin by
details.
December, lalakas ulit ang pesos kasi dadaming dolyares
That
na
will be a
papasok.
factor. That will be a factor.
Kasi of course, nagpapanik yung ibang tao. Baka aabot po ito ng 58, umabot na already to 54. So medyo far-fetched naman siguro yan, no?
Hindi ko alam yung forecasts. So, mahirap magsalita. Pero BSP
Yes.
is the body that really monitors that very carefully. At ang BSP naman natin ay run very professionally.
And of course, I'm looking at yung infrastructure spending natin as a percentage ng ating gross domestic product ay umakyat din, no? So lampas na siya ng 5% finally, no? After very, very long
Tagal
time.
na natin
Tagal
gusto
na,
yan.
mga dekada na yata nun, no? Decades na yan. So that's a good sign, no?
Alam mo, Richard, ito
Yeah.
yung nakita ko. Kasi yung infrastructure spending natin ay nasa 50 billion a month.
Right.
All over the country. Ang tanong kasi ng mga tao, nasaan? Kaya umikot ako ng Mindanao.
Exactly, yun nga ang gusto kong
Nag-land
marinig.
trip kami galing Davao,
Right.
papuntang Cagayan de Oro. Nag-land trip ako papuntang Baguio, pabalik ng Maynila. Ang daming infrastructure projects na pinapatakbo ng mga LGU at ng DPWH all over. Road repair, road widening, bridge strengthening and repair, school building construction, barangay hall upgrading, etc., etc.
But good ones, no?
ang
Kasi may mga
dami.
COA flag din na medyo...
It's COA's job to
Unfortunately,
do
may
that. Bantayan
mga
natin.
bad cases
Oo,
also,
bantayan natin ng maayos. And but the fact that these things are happening all over the country, napakahalaga niyan. Bakit? Kasi ang makakaramdam niyan ay ang mga kababayan natin sa mga probinsya. At gusto natin na bumaba ang presyo ng logistics nila. Whether it's to get to work, whether it's to bring their products na mga SME or mga micro enterprises to market, dapat bumaba ang presyo ng logistics para gumanda rin yung negosyo nila, mas maging productive sila, makapag-hire pa sila ng mas maraming
Actually, pag
workers.
titignan mo yung contribution sa growth by region, no? Umaakyat na yung Mindanao. Even yung ARMM region ngayon ay mas nagko-contribute sa ating growth rate. And actually, galing akong Davao last week. Very impressed ako talaga dun sa nakikita ng development sa Davao. So with sina, yes, may concern tayo sa Imperial Manila, pero actually, yung growth natin ay nagda-diversify, no? Yung sources of growth in the country. At yung infrastructure will help, di ba?
Yes, kung titingnan mo yung regional GDP growth, maraming regions na mas mataas ang growth rate talaga compared to NCR. That's welcome news kasi nga gusto natin mas inclusive yung growth natin. Which means mas mabilis ang pag-angat ng quality of life sa labas. Ngayon, we have to be careful also kasi yung iba dyan galing sa low base. Kaya
Of course.
mataas ang rate.
Madali mag-grow
But
ng
still, we
mataas.
want
But
them to
still,
grow.
Exactly.
Diba? Ganun
Kasi
yung bottom
naalala
line.
ko, actually, in the mid-2010s, may time na actually bumaba yung development indicators in ARMM, no? Habang the rest of the country were moving forward. So, at least nagka-catch up yung mga areas niyan.
Pero gusto natin mas maging productive, mas maging competitive ang ating mga SME. Kasi they're all over the country.
And they're
Kaya
more
may
than 90% of our total businesses, right?
Yeah, 90,000 businesses are SME. Kaya may trabaho bill. Ikokan ko na.
Please, go ahead.
Segue ko na, Richard. Kasi ang trabaho bill, yan talaga ang gustong gawin. No? Ibaba ang corporate income tax rate para sa karamihan ng mga negosyo sa Pilipinas.
Small,
Karamihan ng nagbabayad ng regular income tax rate ay ang mga SME. 90,000. Samantalang yung mga nakakatanggap ng mga special tax incentives, yung mga discount sa kanilang tax rate, ay 2,844 companies lamang na sila pa yung mga malalaki.
Na nagdo-dominate ng ating ekonomiya.
But
no?
don't get me wrong, kasi ang sinasabi, ang trabaho bill daw ay anti-incentive, which is not true. Ang trabaho bill ay may superior menu of incentives for those who will qualify. At gusto talaga natin i-incentivize ang job generation, gusto natin i-incentivize ang countryside development through investments in areas where there's less economic activity. Gusto rin natin i-incentivize ang innovation. New research and technology na dadalhin sa mga iba't ibang lugar sa Pilipinas. Kaya ang trabaho bill, nandyan po yan, yung menu of incentives ay mas maganda kaysa sa incentives na binibigay natin ngayon, except hindi na dapat forever. Kasi ang meron sa Pilipinas, sa incentive regime natin, ay forever incentives.
So wala ka ng incentive to actually mag-improve, no? Kasi may moral hazard, kumbaga, kung parati ka may incentive.
You could put it that way.
Yes,
Plus, we're the only country that does it.
Right,
Ang ating mga karatig bansa ay nasa 20 years maximum.
Right.
Tayo, meron tayong 2, 3, or 4 decades
Right.
na mga nakakatanggap ng
So,
incentive.
the other thing I want to discuss is also, anong specific impact ng train mismo dun sa inflation? Kasi ang sinasabi ng Department of Finance ay very limited, no? Medyo exaggerated ito. But of course, at the same time, narinig din natin yung mga anecdotal evidence, not necessarily statistical evidence, but anecdotal evidence kung saan yung ibang mga negosyo, inabuso po nila yung increases in taxes sa ilalim ng train para mag-justify ng excessive increase dun sa kanilang mga produkto. For instance, yung mga karenderya, yung mga small restaurants, nag-increase sila ng 10 to 20, 30%. Anong response ng Department of Finance? I think DTI ang dapat in charge yan, no? Dun sa issues ng abuses, no? Yung inaabuso, yung mga anticipations in increases of taxes para mag-increase din ng kanilang presyo ng mga kanilang produkto.
Ang mahalaga talaga ay bantayan ang mga binibili ng mga pangkaraniwang pamilyang Pilipino. The basic goods, no? Yung mga necessities ng ating mga lower income families.
Right.
Yun ang binabantayan ng DTI at saka ng DA ngayon.
Right.
No? May SRPs na rin ng DA
So
for
pwede
agricultural
magreklamo ang
products.
taong bayan kung sa tingin nila inabuso ko na yung chile, no? Yung sile, naging biglang 1,000 pesos per kilo or something. You have some ridiculous cases na gano'n, no?
What we want to do is make sure na yung ang consumer ay may option na tama yung presyo dun sa mga goods na binabantayan talaga natin. So kasama dyan ang sardines, kasama dyan ang instant noodles, kasama dyan ang I think sugar, flour, mga cooking oil. Yung
Basic inputs for
kailangan
cooking,
mo on a day-to-day basis para makakain ng maayos. Ang sile, I'm not sure kung kasama yan sa list.
I know.
Parang baka hindi.
Pero parang nagre-reflect siya ng mga tendency gano'n, no? Na
May mga
tao nag-aabuso,
tendency.
no?
So on one hand, DTI and DA have hundreds of teams going around making sure na may options ang ating
So may
mga
monitoring
kababayan.
team tayo on the
Meron.
ground,
Tapos, DTI, through its conversation with DA, was able to, what do you call this, work collaboratively with the Department of Agriculture para meron na ring SRPs for key agricultural products. So that's great, no, that they're doing that. And sana, kasi bago pa lang yung SRP system for agri, that will become stronger over time. Pangalawa, bantayan rin natin yung mga potentially nag-a-abuse. Kasi meron kaming mga nakausap na companies na nagsasabi dahil sa train, tinaas daw nila yung presyo nila. When in fact, when we ask them,
Excessively,
ano ba talaga sa mga inputs ninyo ang tumaas ang presyo para sabihin ninyo na galing sa train?
Unjustified increase.
Ang sabi, actually, inamin nung isang company outright, actually, yan po ang payo ng aming PR agency. When in fact, the input na tumaas ang presyo ay isang imported ingredient that had nothing to do with excise taxes from China.
Which, of course, should bring us to the next issue kasi ngayon pinag-usapan yung second bracket or yung second batch ng train. Papasabay ito, sa tingin nyo ba, should there be adjustments? Are there adjustments being made? Kasi maraming mga response, especially from the investment community, no? Both domestic and international investment community na sa tingin nila yung second package ng train ay hindi siya nagpo-provide ng necessary incentives for investors to
Ito
stay
yung
in.
trabaho bill na medyo nabanggit na natin kanina. Again, what we want to do is incentivize job generation. We want to incentivize countryside development. We want to incentivize research and technology and innovation. Yan po yung talagang nasa menu ng insentibo na kasama sa trabaho bill. At the same time, we need to also ask those who have been receiving their incentives na mga 30 taon na, 40, 40 anyos na sila, may incentives pa rin. Parang kanya na yung mga estudyante, no? Pag nag-aaral pa, bigyan natin ng allowance. Pero pag nag-graduate na at nakahanap na ng trabaho, baka hindi na dapat makatanggap ng allowance.
Yes.
Diba?
So may mga
it's
leakage, kumbaga, sa system.
well, it's a forever incentive that may be not right. No? And again, it's the power of Congress to decide whom and what to tax. And by saying, hindi nyo pwedeng palitan yan, it's like telling Congress, you don't have that power. No? They do have that.
And you're optimistic,
mandate.
Tony, about the Congress? Yung base dun sa mga diskusyon ngayon sa Kongreso natin, sa tingin nyo ba, makukuha natin yung suporta na kailangan natin for the second bracket?
Pumasa na siya sa lower house.
Yeah, I mean the Senate.
Nandito tayo sa Senado ngayon.
Exactly,
The engagement with the Senate is ongoing. We are making ourselves available at any time pag kailangan po ng technical input or ng explanation. Ang isa sa ating mga honorable senators, we will come and we will make ourselves available.
Kasi narinig ko yung iba, medyo, syempre, election na, yung iba re-electionist, worried sila na baka silang sisisin for inflation if mag-approve ulit sila ng second bracket of train. Why do you think necessary ito? Pag sabihin natin, kasi yung iba sinasabi na tama na, okay na yung first bracket ng train, hindi na kailangan yung second bracket. What will happen if hindi tayo tutuloy sa second bracket?
We will maintain our less fair corporate tax system. Yung mga negosyo na maliliit, sila pa rin ang magbabayad ng pinakamataas na tax rate sa ASEAN region. Right. Yung mga nakakatanggap ng insentibo na masyado ng matagal ay ganun pa rin. Ang gusto natin gawin...
Tax holidays.
Oo. Ang mga 5% GIE, which is effectively a 6 to 13% net income tax rate. Ang gusto natin gawin, make incentives available for those who want to contribute, including those who have had incentives for a long time. Kung gusto nila magdagdag ng bagong activity, ng bagong investment, and it will meet the goals of more jobs and the other things I talked about earlier, by all means, pagpasok naman sila sa Strategic Investments Priorities Plan, they should receive incentives. Pero, at the same time, let's make our tax rate that most companies pay more competitive and lower than what it is. Because we are not just among the highest, we are the highest.
And don't you think na itong second batch ng train ay mag-contribute to inflation again or anything like that?
Yan ang kailangan din natin maibahagi dahil lahat ng mga maaring maging inflationary ay in-adjust na. If you look at the trabaho bill...
So hindi kailangan i-postpone muna bago i-manage?
First, it was supposed to be revenue neutral. Now we will try to manage the fact na automatic na yung pagbaba ng corporate income tax. Dati kasi contingent siya dun sa pag-recover ng redundant incentives. Ngayon, automatic ang pagbaba ng corporate income tax. So, we have to manage that very well, and the Department of Finance and the other economic managers have said that they are willing to make that compromise. No? Na talagang pag-iigihan yung revenue
The other issue is,
collection.
of course, last year nakausap ko si Yusek Chua about this issue is, well, yung ibang kritiko ng tax reform ay sinasabi nila, well, the fundamental problem dito is hindi yung tax rates, pero tax collection, yung tinatawag na tax effort, no? Yung sa share ng ating GDP, gross domestic product, ilan dyan ang galing sa tax collection. Sa mga developed countries katulad ng France, for instance, 40% na kanilang GDP ay galing sa tax. So, yun ang tinatawag na strong state, no? Kasi wala naman gusto magbayad ng voluntary ng taxes, no?
Ang taas rin ng tax rate ng France. Diba?
Right, exactly.
At the same time. Pero
So
dito
usually
sa region,
developed countries have very high. Sa Pilipinas, mukhang historically very low po tayo kumpara sa mga fellow developing countries.
Here's
no?
the good news,
Right.
Richard.
Pero ngayon,
we're doing much better.
Can we have the picture ng tax effort? Yes, which shows na actually nag-improve na tayo, no?
Yes. Nasa tayo?
15.2%, no?
Yes.
So we went from as low as 9% nung 1986, no? Nung transition natin into democracy to 15%, no?
And
So
that puts us among some of the best managed revenue best managed revenue operations in the region.
although we achieved that number already during time
Before,
ni President Ramos,
Correct.
no?
Pero
So we're actually from President Ramos to now actually bumaba and then nag-recover
Tapos
po
tumasa
tayo. So which means nagko-collect na finally ng medyo mas maayos yung ating
Correct.
gobyerno. But I think for our level of development, 17% is much more the average, right? Because I know Colombia at Indonesia lang natin natatalo sa level of development natin. But usually for an emerging market like us, it should be closer to 7%. At optimistic tayo na by the end of the Duterte administration, maabutan siguro natin yung 16 to 17%.
Yes, and we really
This is a very good trend.
Yes. In fact, we really need to give it to the BIR and BOC that the revenue effort, the tax effort.
Yeah, kasi umabot siya ng 16% sa quarter 2 of 2018, no? So that's shortly after yung implementation ng train. So this is a very good indication.
Yeah.
Kasi kung hindi makapag-collecta ng taxes ang gobyerno, paano siya mag-provide ng basic services? So this is a very good indicator.
Which is also why we need the comprehensive tax reform program. Because while we are collecting more, we need to make sure we are asking those who have more to
give
contribute
more.
more. And those who have less to contribute, but not as much.
Kasi yung mga loopholes, no? Yung mga butas sa batas na ginagamit nila para hindi magbayad.
That's why for package 2, it's the SMEs who should be paying less than they're paying now. And then those who don't need the tax incentives to be paying more and contributing more. But again, we should give tax incentives to those who want to contribute to national development. We should make our menu as attractive as possible to attract more investors. Kasama pa rin yun. Also, if you look at package 1, kasi nakakalimutan to we actually lowered the personal income tax for most taxpayers, 99%. Pero yung mga kumikita ng 8 million and above, sila yung mga hiningaan natin ng mas marami.
So, iyan ang tinatawag na progressive taxation rather than regressive. Kasi regressive ay kung saan yung mga mas konti ang kinikita actually mas nagbabayad proportionally kumpara doon sa mga mas malalaking kinikita. So, we're making it less regressive and more progressive
And we
over
want
time.
it to be a broader base.
Right.
More people are sharing the burden than less.
At you reduce tax evasion, which is, of course, malaking problema sa ating bansa. Of course, the other good news, may mga good news tayo sa economy, no? We have
15.2.
which I think very few people talked about. Pero ako kasi, ito yung tinitignan ko. For me, this is an indication of strong state, no? Nakapag-kolekta ka ng
And then,
taxes.
plus, the capital accumulation we talked about earlier, we are upgrading our engine for faster
So, yung isa
growth.
pang issue, no? Yung quality of growth, yung kalidad na ating economic growth ay actually nag-improve din.
Manufacturing.
So now it's more driven by manufacturing and more driven by investment. No,
Yes.
hindi lang
Hindi lang-
consumption
yes.
and services.
Correct.
So that's the other good news na meron tayo. And hopefully, we maintain that trend. The other thing is, of course, by next year, officially ang Pilipinas ay almost 100% certain magiging upper middle income
That's
country tayo, no? And that puts us in the upper half of ASEAN. So Singapore and Brunei are high income countries, Malaysia, Thailand, and then Philippines. So
And then,
we'll be
yes.
number 5 in ASEAN in terms of levels of economic development by measures of per capita income, no?
That inspires us, and that should inspire us as a nation to go for high income status by 2040.
Right.
Yung ambisyon
Which is
natin.
$12,000 per,
Yeah,
right.
higher than 12,000.
Right, yeah.
Pero we're at the cusp of 4,000 more or less, di ba? So we are happy that we are graduating into high middle income country status, but that also means let's go for high income status. By 2040, within our lifetime, Richard, we can achieve it.
Yes.
You know what? I grew up believing, because I was raised by the Jesuits, no, na may preferential option ka for the poor, and that you should dedicate a good part of your life, if not all of it, to helping those who need the most help. Hindi ko naisip when I was growing up na there can be a future where there is zero extreme poverty in the Philippines. It just wasn't something I imagined. And now I am so inspired by that possibility.
Right.
So I think we really need to roll up our sleeves and get to that high income
Kasi
status.
kaya
Because
to
that means zero extreme poverty. Practically, ibig sabihin yan, wala hong nagugutom na pamilyang Pilipino. Yan ang gusto natin.
So we won't
makamit.
eliminate relative poverty, but at least extreme poverty ay mawawala siya, no? So on that good note, thank you very much, Tony, no, for joining
Richard,
us.
salamat.
Asec Lambino from Department of Finance. Thank you very much, mga kapuso, for joining us. And we'll have more of these kinds of discussion in the future. Thank you very much,
Richard,
Tony.
thank you very
Pleasure.
much. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.